so just bear with me. I'm only on here just for a wee quick update. So for anybody that doesn't know, I'm Mandy from Expose Scotland. There's me and Laura that have a group called Expose Scotland, and for the last 3 years we've been exposing elite paedophiles in Scotland. We've been trying to raise awareness about the institutional abuse in my country, the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry, Dunblane, the 100-year secrecy rule in Dunblane, the fact that our country is run by a secret bunch of Freemasons who are judges, advocates, elites, royals, etc. Obviously that's a touchy subject right now. The reason for me doing this video, guys, is because I'm now currently in 3 30-day bans on the 3 different accounts I've got on Facebook. I've not been on here for a while, as for probably the last year, I've been trying to raise awareness about this sex education programme that you'll now be aware is in your schools in Scotland. A lot of people weren't aware 2 years ago. They looked at me like I was mad. I tried to explain that it was a global sex education programme designed at sexualising children, that it's came about before because of all my research. They tried to abolish the age of consent for anybody that knows their shit on the paedophiles that are in the country. They tried to abolish the age of consent in the 70s in the Westminster government, right? By, it's the age of, we can go and Google that, the age of consent reform in the 1970s. Looked at, and it looked at abolishing the age of consent, but they knew there'd been a public outcry, so they recommended that the age of consent be lowered to 10 years old. Right, that didn't go ahead either because parents stood up to it, right? Now it's happening, guys. It's happening without your consent, without your knowledge, and people are defending it because it's just like everybody's been fucking brainwashed. For the last 2 years, while people have been out in the street shouting about vaccines and etc., we've been out in the street shouting about a global sex education programme that's coming into your education curriculum, that has been legislated, that has been, we're trying to tell you, they've sneaked it in. They've changed legislations. During COVID, they were able to go in and just change legislations. So they've used that to their advantage. They've not just changed legislations for COVID, they've changed legislations in your children's education curriculum in Scotland. You need to start educating yourselves. So I came on here to tell you guys, so I'm on a 30-day ban on 3 of my Facebook accounts that are about to get deleted. I had my TikTok account deleted through the sex education. I got it back. I hadn't made any videos. I made one that went kind of viral, and then I made a video this morning and was talking about how Jimmy Savile's a paedophile. You're not allowed to say that anymore. I wonder why. Who's the new king? Right, so you're not allowed to say Jimmy, but well, I've been exposing it for 3 years that Jimmy Savile's a paedophile and that he ran about Scotland procuring children for elites. And the reason why he got into our care homes and our NHS hospitals with children and on the BBC, etc., is because he had permission for the royals. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been allowed to do it. So that's all I said. All I said was Jimmy Savile was procuring children for elites, and he was, when he was exposed and caught, it was known that he was procuring. It wasn't just this secret paedophile. It was a secret paedophile among secret clubs of people that you don't get in unless you're elites. So see, unless you're elite, don't defend them when you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because you don't actually know what they got up to. You don't know these people. You don't know them personally. What is going on in Glasgow? Because I've had a helicopter circling for 2 days. They're probably coming to get me because I don't give a shit about the paedophiles, about shouting at the paedophiles that are in power, or paedophiles that are running our country. They've been responsible for the rape, trafficking and murdering and torturing the children for over 100 years in Scotland alone. And it's true. Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry will go tell you that. It's land owned by them. Right? Go Google the British Home Children. Right? So the new king, right, is the head board member of Bernardo's charity, King Charles. Right, Bernardo's charity have been found guilty in the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry for raping, murdering, torturing, trafficking children to Canada and Australia for over 100 years. It used to be the Queen who was the head of that charity. It's now Prince Charles, well, King Charles. Him and Camilla, the lead board members of Bernardo's charity. I've been investigating Bernardo's charity in Scotland for 2 years. They're in the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry. I've wrote to the Scottish Government about them. I've got letters for the Scottish Government I said to the Scottish Government gave them £58 million. I said, why'd you give child traffickers £58 million? The response was, they're aware that they were found guilty in the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry, but they said sorry. I've got all the letters of proof there. I can send them to you or whatever. So that's where your government stands with Bernardo's charity, who is owned and run by the royal family. Just saying. Who are also responsible for the trafficking of the British home children, thousands and thousands of them, to Canada and Australia. 10,000 children alone for just Quarriers orphan home in Scotland, who are Sandy and Jane will verify that, who are warriors still fighting, who had to fight to get the children's headstones replaced because they removed them and tried to cover up that there was ever children raped, murdered, tortured and buried in there at the hands of them. But there was, and it became public in all the child abuse inquiries in all the countries. It's not a secret, right? The Queen Victoria School in Dunblane. The Queen Victoria School in Dunblane at one point in time, if you go back and research it, is a military run school. Charles is friends of the school, Prince King Charles, so was Prince Andrew. Don't know what the part, but they're in the military as well. So it's a Ministry of Defence run school in Scotland in Dunblane. Massive paedophile ring, right? They were found guilty. That's part of the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry last year, the Queen Victoria School in Dunblane. It's all secret, but what's been said about it, because there's a 100-year Secrecy Act that they placed on certain elite paedophiles, can't be named for 100 years. So they still run about raping children, pimping out children, the way because they're in positions of power and they're not dead yet. What does that tell you? It's because they still run your country that you're not allowed to say anything for 100 years. Because maybe in that time they might know we're in the country and you might be able to say something, but they'll just slap another one on it if they're still there in power. Simple. Your country's and your world's run by paedophiles, and people need to wake up to that fact that it's not about diseases and viruses and everything. It's about control. It's about, I'm not saying they don't exist, because I'm not here to fight about MD. I've seen people, I've had COVID, I've seen people being no well, but it's like every other virus and disease that the human race has fought. If we don't get exposed to it, we won't get immune to it, and we won't be able to fight it and survive. So what the fuck's going on in the country? But the children are getting raped and trafficked and murdered, and they're not wearing masks or getting vaccines. Like the children, they're still raping all the children and they're not following your rules. But that's fine. We've just to shut up. We have to get shut down on every platform for telling the truth. So you've got Bernardo's. What else have you got? The British home children that they sent to Canada and Australia. You've also got, when you look into it, Kamloops, the thousands of children found in unmarked graves there. But they get shut down, they get shut up, they get silenced on social media. It was all the news, we were children. Mandy and Laura done, we were children, all Lanark, because there's thousands of children in unmarked graves in Lanark in Scotland. A land owned by the royal family and ran by the Catholic Church, the exact same as in Canada and Australia and all these other countries. Like the royal family owns the land, and they've got British monarchies there, and the Catholic Church run the facilities and the institutions who rape, traffic and murder and torture the children. I'm not saying it's the royals, I'm not saying it's the Vatican, I'm saying it's both. They've been responsible for the murder, rape, trafficking of your children for centuries. And everybody protects them and respects them and defends them, and I'm sick of it. I'm shut down on every platform because I tell the truth. They kick my door in, they arrest me. I go to Lanark, say there's thousands of children in unmarked graves, they arrest us. They send us social workers, they take us to court. I'm sick of it. I'll keep shouting, I don't give a shit, they can murder me. Right, so like that's where we're at. So I came on here to say, so TikTok got deleted this morning because I said Jimmy Savile was a paedophile who procured children for elites. And I've said, what elites? Just that he ran about Scotland doing it, and I've got thousands of hours of research to prove it. And I've also got witness survivors who remember him being in their homes when they were children, being raped by Jimmy Savile, and they've been threatened by the Scottish Government to shut up. They've actually had death threats for the Scottish Government, the SNP Scottish Government. So, like, who yous are protecting is just paedophiles. All yous are just protecting paedophiles. None of yous are protecting children in this country. Like I said before, I'll shut up. I'll stop going out in the streets. I'll stop causing chaos. If somebody does something about the children getting raped, trafficked, tortured and pimped out in our country. But until then, nobody else is doing anything. So we can't just let them get away with it. So I've been at Parliament about the sex education programme. I've been everywhere. but they're shutting me down. They're shutting me down on everything. And then because of my views on the fact of what King Charles owns Bernardo's charity, this is all the truth and it's facts. And Bernardo's charity are guilty of raping, trafficking and for at least 100 years. The last 100 years, is that no in their reign? Just saying. Just saying. It's facts, it's the truth, right? But oh, they're lovely, beautiful people. What have they ever personally done for you? Just saying. Do you know them personally? Have you met them? Do you just hear all the stories that they tell you on their media that they own? That nobody else gets to, like people like me would never get on their media to say this one's a paedophile and that one's a paedophile. And the Queen Victoria School in Dunblane was at one point in time, if you look back in all the documents, it was just ex-military masons that ran the school solemnly. You only had to be a mason and ex-military, no teaching qualifications. And they ran the Queen Victoria School in Dunblane, the boarding school, for Ministry of Defence for military persons' children. Now, the children were subjected to being prostituted out to the elites globally. They get booked out on weekend trips for over 2 decades, right? And they were raped and traumatised and drugged and sent back to the boarding school, right? So then I was like, did the parents know how did they know they're saying this? And then I looked into Marriott. So see how when your children's in a boarding school, a bit like the sex education in Scotland's gone, to take your parental rights away. So see when your child's in a boarding school, they have guardianship of your children. So you don't need the parents to consent to your children being booked out to paedophiles. Because the schools get guardianship of your children. And guess what? The school's all part of the paedophile club that knows what's going on and knows where the children are gone and knows what's happening to them and is to shut them up when they come back home. So that went on for decades in the Queen Victoria School in Dunblane. Now, not only was it ran by just Mason ex-military, they boys were brought up, they boys were sent to get raped and told to pack their wee kilts and everything, to go to parties and entertain paedophiles, literally, and then be gang raped and drugged. They get took on yachts, etc., for all the elite paedophiles in our country. Rights being protected by 100-year Secrecy Act. So they're still floating about in their yachts raping children, right, because nobody's allowed to say they're paedophiles. Because there's a 100-year Secrecy Act in Scotland protecting them. That it'd be too upsetting for the families of the children in Dunblane that all their children were shot because a paedophile ring was about to be exposed and they had to do something to distract everybody. So your children were murdered because your children were, they poor children were, some of them, if they attended any of the clubs in Dunblane, the children's clubs that were ran by Thomas Hamilton, then the children were abused because he was abusing the children for the clubs that Thomas Hamilton had, the shooter that shot all the children. Well, he was grooming all the children for the elites. He had clubs, children's clubs, where he had for children and he groomed them and abused them and got them ready for the elite paedophiles to come and abuse them. And then the children were all shot in Dunblane to silence it. As sad and heartbreaking as it is, it's the truth. It's the truth. The children were, and then they put 100 Act. There was the Lord, what inquiry, people know what I'm talking about. The thing inquiry into it to try and lift the 100-year Secrecy Act, but it protects people in high places, like members of the royal family, like politicians that used to be prime ministers, people like that, right? So that's the truth for your country. The people at the top protect paedophiles because they're part of these paedophile rings and trafficking gangs and child rape gangs, are grooming your children, the next generation that they can control and manipulate. That's the truth. They just want manipulation and control. They're sick as fuck. And these are the people that have been in charge for centuries of running your country. It's time for people to rise up and take their rights back. There's no other way. Like, our children aren't safe on these streets. Our children aren't safe in any of their institutions. Their institutions in the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry that have already been, every one of them, been proven to be raping, trafficking and murdering children. Right? So every one of them it's already proved. Why do you think there's a shitstorm? Because they were already caught. There was children getting uncovered in unmarked graves all over our country, Scotland included. I've been arrested for it. Because And then I get trolled. So the trolls were quick to come on because they work for the government, right? To say that what we done in that cemetery was disgusting. We should have go to jail and whatever, because we put clays, we bloody baby clays and hanged them on the trees and everything. Because that cemetery's unmarked graves of thousands of children raped, murdered and tortured in it, right? There's nothing, there's one headstone marking that they're there, right? The children of Smileham. Go Google it. And then the whole rest of the cemetery is memorials for the priests and nuns that raped them. Not only that, there's 2 memorials for royal guards, right? In there too, with the children in unmarked graves, there's 2 royal guards in Scotland and Lanark. Why was there royal guards in Smileham? Because it was owned by the royals, because it was protected, the secrets there, by the royals and the Vatican. Not just one of them, both of them. They've been doing it and raping us and trafficking and we've been slaves for hundreds of years. It's time to wake up that you're only free, that you're less free now than you ever were before. And they're just taking your rights away. So not only that, so I'm shut down everything, banned on everything. So I've got 3 sex education groups, guys. This is what I've been busy doing since January, trying to set them up to make people aware of this sex education programme that's going to be mandatory, no opt-outs, coming into your schools in September. It's part of the new global agenda, sexualisation of all children, Agenda 2030. Sexualisation of all children from birth. It says for 3 years old just now, right? But it's from birth. Go research it, you'll never catch up. These people believe your children should have sexual rights for birth. These people believe that run the world, that believe that your children, that we're denying your children sexual rights. Us as mothers and fathers and protecting them from paedophiles and for knowing about sex and stuff. We are a threat to our children. We are abusing our children because our children are born with sexual rights. Our children should be allowed to have orgasms from birth. So us as mums and dads are denying our children orgasms from birth. That's the way these elites see us, right? Simple. So they brought in a sex education programme. In 2009, they sat down globally. 52 countries signed up to it. It was 108 involved. 52 countries signed up to it. Some of the countries get foreign aid pulled and everything because they said no, because they had no choice. They were getting threatened. Right, because it's part of a new curriculum that for excellence, and it's going to be global, and it involves how do we sexualise all the children. Well, we have to get all the countries involved. So they all sat around a table, Scottish Government included, America, it started in first, America included, and they signed contracts to bring in this education system by 2019, right? So in the next decade, they would get this education system implemented into your schools. So what have they been doing all that time? Fucking about with your education curriculum to fix it. Scotland's had teaching documents since 2014 where they have been telling the teachers, so that's how I'm saying these do know about it. Teaching documents made up since so 5 years later, Scotland's more advanced than any country in the world. Let me tell you, you've got something to be afraid of in this country, right? Nicola Sturgeon signed you up to under the crown. They make our laws, they are backing this 100%, this global sex education, because it's a global sex education that gets all the paedophiles off. Because if they abolish the age of consent, make paedophilia normal, make sex with children normal, and experimentation normal, and incest normal, where all the children are experimenting, then their problems will go away because they're normal. So they just make the whole world a paedophile playground for them, and they're not the criminals, we are. We're the criminals for trying to protect and defend our children. Simple. That's where they're going with. That's what's going on now in the world, right? So how have they done this? Well, they're indoctrinating your children in the education system, right? The paedophiles that run the world came up with a master plan, like I said, in 2009. Go Google UNESCO. If you look at your Scottish teaching documents, right? UNESCO gives you links, the teachers links to UNESCO, which is a sexuality education, big research facility, right? With links to the Kinsey Institute, Alfred Kinsey and the Kinsey Institute, right? All the policies, frameworks, all taken, like just basically copy and pasted for him, right? Alfred Kinsey paid paedophiles to give children orgasms to prove this shit that's happening now, to prove that children can have orgasms for birth. So he paid paedophiles to make him a table and with a stopwatch, time children having orgasms, right? And for 4 months old is the youngest child. And one of the experiments was 24 hours. They seen how many orgasms that child could have. And the way they explained an orgasm is the child convulsing, seizures, foaming at the mouth, screaming out, fighting, convulsing. No, that's trauma, that's rape. That's not an orgasm, right? These people are sick as fuck that have created this sex education programme, and everybody that's using the resources that they're using is based on all this stuff. I've researched it to fuck, it's true. So you've got CCUS in America, who will be involved in getting all the research on what's happening in every country and gathering it all. You have UNESCO, United Nations, they'll be coming into the schools to enforce it. They'll also be gathering all the research. The Scottish Government have already told you that it'll be, I've got all the documents, the letters they've wrote me, they've told me, that all the information on my children is, that's why you've got censuses, asking your children from 6 years old, like they're sleeping when they go to bed at night, who their favourite people are, they're profiling your children, who your favourite people are. This information on your children that they're getting asked in Scotland, I don't know what's happening in England, Ireland and Wales on that in the census stuff, but in Scotland, they're asking your children their sleeping patterns, their favourite people, who they have sleepovers with, what they like to eat, who lives in the home, and then it's like, right, goes right up to the censuses what age did you first have sex at, 13 years or younger, that's the sex censuses for the 13-year-olds. How many times did you have sex last year? How many sexual partners did you have last year? This is for 13-year-olds in Scotland. They're already getting asked that. We'll see all this information. It's getting stored in, gathered by the local councils, like Glasgow City Council, Perth and Kinross, whatever, right? All the councils gather this information. It gets stored in their databases. They get access to the information and your children's information. Then it gets sent to the Scottish Government. Their analytical teams and systems, processing IT staff, process all that information on a bigger scale into another system. That system then gets linked to UNESCO and the United Nations and CCUS in America. And they gather that data along with the other 52 countries and store it in a bigger database. Your children are all being profiled as part of a global experiment. Sexualisation of your children. It's real. It's fucking happening. I can prove it. I can show you all the evidence. I can show you all the documents. They've legislated it. So the Scottish Government made legislation for this in 2014. They brought all the legislations together that they were going to use to cover the sex education RSHP, relationship, sexual health and parenthood in Scotland. It's a global sex education. It's RSE in Wales, relationships and sex education. And all the documents, it's CSE. Now what does that stand for? Child sexual exploitation. Well, they call it comprehensive sexuality education, right? So now child sexual exploitation has been replaced with comprehensive sexuality education. Get your heads around that. That's what it's called, right? In 52 countries. But Scotland, they're called it a different name in every country so that we don't figure out that it's the same education, that it's global, that it's coming in hard and fast, and it's aimed at sexualising your children from 3 years old. They've got teachers defending it, saying it's so that children know the right words for things, so it protects them from paedophiles. No, there's no safeguarding, there's no protection. There's just only protection against people like us who are trying to raise awareness that it's sexual exploitation. It's child sexual exploitation by the government, by the education system and by the teachers. And they don't know what they're doing, and I know what they're about to do because I've researched it for almost 3 years. And it's no good, right? So just put this in your head, right? So children at 3 years old get taught where their vulva, about vulvas, that people are saying, I know it's just the words, right? That's at 3. At 6 years old, they get introduced to masturbation and wet dreams. At 8 years old, they get showed how to have full sex. What do you think then the 8-year-olds with all that knowledge about sex but don't know anything about it is going to do? It's making your children, it's sexualising them, it's grooming them. It's grooming your children to be familiar with the words. It's grooming your children to be familiar with the actions. It's grooming your children that these actions are normal. And it's grooming your children that it's alright to masturbate and get yourself orgasms and get familiar with what sex makes you feel like for a very young age, for 6 years old. Right? That is no fucking sex education. I don't care who defends it, who tries to defend it. But that is not a sex education, right? So, like I've just said to you, 52 countries, it's global sexualisation of all your children. The people in power have been shut down on everything. TikTok's been deleted and banned. I'm about to be deleted on Facebook. They've banned me on the 3 accounts. I can't even go live on them. They usually let me change my profile picture still, or go live, can't I? I'm getting shut down. I'm going to get deleted. So, like I said, and like I went back to as well, the trolls were quick to jump on us and shout about how we're disgusting, and they get every chance, the trolls on Facebook, right? And they just come back in, even a year and 2 later, with all the same comments, like, either disgusting, her Laura, they need to be exposed, they put bloody clays. No, we put bloody clays in that or a cemetery to shock yous, to just because then that might make yous actually want to be aware of what actually happened. How people look, places like that that was owned by the royal family, and the land was gifted to the Vatican, to the nuns. I mean, that no, it was the Vatican that owned the land, wasn't it? On there, but there's royal guards protecting them, right? So they're all involved. So all we tried to say was, look, this, do you not think it's shocking that there's over 1,000 children that are walking near them every day, and they were raped, murdered and tortured and buried in a mass grave in your country? Nobody gives a shit about them, and nobody's addressing the issue of why they ended up there, how it was the institutions that were owned by the royals in the Vatican that trafficked them, that raped them, that sent them to countries, like sold them to Canada and Australia in exchange, and they went to Canada and Australia and raped their children, etc, etc, and it's went on for centuries. So, but you won't address that. You won't address that they keep getting away with it. But you will be quick to jump on me and Laura done that, and it was disgusting, it was disrespectful. And people like you that obviously sent the police to us and said it was us. And that they were getting charged with malicious vandalism in a cemetery and causing the dead to be in a state of fear and alarm. That's how I'm saying the country's fucked. I'm in courts fighting them for my own sovereignty back. I don't know what I'm going to do now, because I was obviously fighting that I don't stand under the authority and jurisdiction of the Queen. So I don't, is it Charles I need to go in now and fight? So it's going to be, the courts are going to be different as well. So I'm in there fighting that I'm not standing under the authority and jurisdiction of them, because I want to address the issue of slavery. And I can't address the issue of slavery in their system, in their statutory bullshit system, because they protect paedophiles. And the Queen appoints for judges, and Nicola Sturgeon recommends them, and they're all protecting paedophiles. And all I want to do is just jail me for it, because you're not allowed to say that, because it's true. Well, what about the children? What about the children that are getting raped, murdered and tortured, that nobody's got to go defend and take to the streets for? What about the children that are getting exploited and raped and sold all over the place? What about the grooming gangs have opened the floodgates to and let them into the streets of Glasgow, that are now were young adults in nightclubs who are all involved in the security in the nightclubs, who are injecting our children in Glasgow with drugging them in the nightclub, security are putting them out, and the rapists are picking them up, and nobody's doing shit about it. Even the clubs are protecting them. What's going on? Why? And then you've got people protecting and defending the paedophiles at the top, because we need to be respectful, because somebody's died. Well, I buried my dad on Wednesday. Nobody showed me any fucking respect, right? But I have to respect a stranger who I've done hundreds of research on, who's protected paedophiles in this country for over almost a century. Well, no. They own all the media platforms and the social media and the mainstream media. Well, and they're shutting me down. Well, fucking go ahead, shut me down. I'm not going to shut up. Don't give a shit. Right? So, children. So, there's a serious child protection issue in every single country in your world, and the royal family are behind it. Global sexualisation programme of your children. In Scotland, it's relationship, sexual health and parenthood. It's got 14 legislations behind it. They made amendments to the legislations in 2020 and 2021. The same education is getting brought in Wales and made. They're in court next month for a judicial review. They've actually got a High Court judge, because Wales weren't getting a choice. Scotland have piloted it in 38 schools, have already legislated it all, have already got it all set up, what they're going to teach, what they're going to do, have already groomed all the teachers. Wales aren't even getting a choice. They're getting it straight mandatory education, no parental opt-out. You're not getting to opt-out. They've even replaced science and maths as mandatory subjects and made sex education mandatory. What's that tell you? They're trying it a different way in every one of the 52 countries. So Wales are in court next month, November, up in front of a High Court judge for a judicial review, but they're going ahead with the mandatory sex education now. People are starting to homeschool their children, but they're going to have social services taking their children off them. That's how sinister it is, because it's a mandatory education. Scotland are telling you it's cool, don't panic, you can opt out, you can opt out, you can opt out. Don't panic. Even the teaching documents for 2014, Nicola Sturgeon, you can opt out. No, you can't. You've had your time to opt out, Scotland. See the 3 years that they piloted it in schools and never told you, that was your opt out period. It's coming in as mandatory education by the end of this fucking month. If Wales don't get their judicial review in here, we're on trouble. We're on trouble because United Nations are marching into the schools that aren't they? Shutting them down. Marching, social services are marching to the door of the parents that don't agree with it. And they're shutting yous up with threatening to take your children and teaching yous how this is a nice education and it's not sinister and blah 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 blah, indoctrinating your children, brainwashing yous all, grooming yous all so that they can make all their problems go away with a global sex education programme that makes paedophilia normal, abolishes the age of consent. So let's think about this, your sex education. So you're 8-year-old, right? You're 8-year-old, right? So you think it's fine, he's saying and defending it. So 8-year-olds get taught how full sex works with both a man and a woman, 2 men and 2 women. They tell you in explicit detail how you put the penis in the vagina and you move it in and out, how it should feel, what the vulva does, what the penis does, then about ejaculation, and then it tells you full sex, right, in explicit details, pornographic detail, right, as you would read in a porn, only for your 8-year-old. So then your 8-year-old child goes home and you've got how many? You've got another 5 children. You've got a baby, you've got a 2-year-old, you've got a 3-year-old, you've got a 4-year-old, maybe 2 4-year-old twins, right? So what your 8-year-olds are excited about this new education and nobody's taught them boundaries and safeguarding, so what the school's got to teach them then to keep secrets from, you can't teach you, so we need to teach them secrets. This is how you keep a secret. You don't tell this one and you don't tell that one because blah 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 blah, right? Get where I'm going with it, this is where it's gone. Anybody that can't see that, I don't know what's wrong with your brains, they've brainwashed, groomed you. So then your 8-year-old says, Mum, I'll show you where your vulva is, innocently to the 3-year-old. And the 3-year-old has to lie down and open their legs. Well, the 8-year-old shows them where the vulva is. And then he shows them where, and then they want to touch the penis and blah, 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 blah. There you've got incest, right there. By innocent experimentation of children that have been exposed to something they don't fully understand because they're not old enough. They are innocently going to teach younger children, obviously. Brothers and sisters teach each other what the other ones don't know. Fact, you can prove me wrong. So why they not going to teach them about sex education? So what have we already done in Scotland? Scotland has now made it legal for 4-year-olds, for ages now and nobody's bothered, for 4-year-olds to change their name and gender under RSHP education while you're at school. www.rshp.scot. So www.rshp.scotland. Go to the 3 lines in the top right hand corner, click down to levels. You'll also see ones there for children with learning disabilities and children with severe learning disabilities. The materials and contents in there nearly broke my heart the other day. They are much more explicit and pornographic for children with autism and children with Asperger's syndrome and children with learning difficulties and Down syndrome, etc, etc. They are showing your children fucking porn for 8 years old. They are showing them the materials. They said that they have to be more plain with their children because they don't understand. Well, if they can't be any more plainer, then they're teaching children to have sex. Because what do you think then that 8-year-old or that 9-year-old that's autistic is going to go and do with that information? They're going to go and experiment. Maybe on children younger in the family who don't have autism, who are 4, who are 3. And they might just think that they could, because nobody's told them they can, they might just think they can go and have full sex with them. And then what you're going to do, you're going to scream and shout and bogs. That's going to be chaos, guys. You've got paedophiles running the country for real now. Right, all I'm going to say is, King Charles was best pals with Jimmy Savile. This is what I'm shut down and everything for he was 8 years old. They were best mates. Right, Jimmy Savile procured children for the royal family. Jimmy Savile procured children for all the elites, right, and were care homes. They gave him permission to enter the places. They were their pass to go on the BBC and to get in all these places. He now runs the country, right? You've got a global sex education programme getting enforced by him. So you think you've got opt-out? Think again, chaos. Children experimenting, having sex with each other, 6 months' time, I'd get it. So for all you that don't already know, under this RSHP education, Scotland has legislated, right, so you will lose your children when they make it mandatory by the end of September. You say, I don't want that, and you start causing a scene, social services are coming to ask you why. What your issues and your problems were about it. Why you feel so concerned, and they're just taking notes on you, right? They're threatening, they're taking your wings off you if you don't shut the fuck up and sexualise them like everybody else, right? End of. You're not getting a choice. It's 52 countries, it's global. It's becoming mandatory education by the end of September. You've got it rolled out in Scotland, like rapid. I tried to warn people for the last 4 weeks before the summer holidays, right? Every school got touched on it, so you've heard about it. So going back in August, they've been getting it, right? And it's by the end of September, United Nations are going to come into your schools and enforce it, no matter what they're telling you. I've read the teaching documents and the legislations, it's happening. Wales, as I said, are in court next month. I'll keep you informed. I'll try and... Next month I'll be off all the bans on Facebook. I'll try and get it live streamed so you can see what's happening in court in Wales. And how it's mandatory education there and how they're losing their rights, their parental rights completely. The state is taking their parental rights off them. Either say, either children's sex education, and they're getting sexualised, whether they like it or not, and they're getting sexually exploited, whether they like it or not, and they're getting shown porn, whether they like it or not, and they're getting taught how to masturbate and about wet dreams for 6 years old, whether they like it or not. So Scotland has already made it, this is what we've already done. We've made it legal for 4-year-olds in Scotland while in primary school, and the teachers have been warned by the Scottish Government not to question the child. So we've made it legal for 4-year-olds, so like your wee boy Robert can go to school and decide he's going to be Rebecca, and he wants to wear girls' clothes, and he wants to use the girls' toilets. And while he's in school, the school teachers have been warned not to tell the parents. That's to be kept a secret. So there they've got them keeping secrets, right? They're grooming your children, they're stealing your parental rights and your wains, and they're sexually exploiting them in a massive scale. Like, on the scale, say like Bernardo's and all the care homes and all this, like the way they've done it for years, but they're just going to do it to everybody now, because then it's normal and they get away with it, get to walk for everything they've already been responsible for, like I said. So they've made it legal for your 4-year-olds to change their name and gender while in school, and they've not to question the child. This sex education will by 8 years old, by the way. They've already got all the healthcare professionals. I've read the legislations for the teachers for 2014. NHS are involved in it. NHS, Education Scotland, they've got social work. That's why you've got just health and social care partnerships, and they all merged, because they're coming into your schools to be able to counsel your children, to be able to administer medication by the state without your parental rights or consent, i.e. hormone blockers, gender transformation medication to your innocent fucking children who haven't even told you for years in primary school that they've decided they want to be a boy. So then your child, what about your child? Your child's isolated with that decision then by the state, right? Keeping it a secret for his whole family, say for 5 years, right? What psychological damage is that going to do the child when that child realises he don't want to be a boy in the States? He's gone that way, he's gone for, no, he's been on hormone blockers and he's going to get surgery, so he has to tell his parents now, and he's kept it a secret for 5 years. So how does he go about telling his parents now, and what they all going to think of him? That's abuse. That's fucking sexual abusing your children, and you're allowing it. And that's the state your children are all going to end up in. They've ended up like that in America. Go research what's happened in America. America's been getting hit with it for 5 years, right? And it's there. It's plain and simple. I helped set up a group, Save Our Children, the Little People USA, a year and a half ago, and I didn't know what I was setting up. And it was all these gender confused children. I realised they were all youths. They were all just like 16, 17, 18. And I wondered what was going on, and they were all talking about gender and hormone blockers, and it's a sex education programme done it to them. And they'd set up a group, Save Our Children, that this is child abuse, because none of them would, like, do you think about it, right? I ran about with wee boys when I was younger. I wanted to be a boy. I get my hair cut back short, back in size when I started primary school. See, if I'd done that now, I'd be putting boys' clothes in school and get to being a boy. I wanted to grow up and be a woman and have my children. So why is that getting forced upon your fucking 4-year-olds? This is grooming, sexual abuse, it's psychological abuse, it's emotional abuse. You just need to stand up for your children, Scotland. And it's driving me crazy, and they're shutting me down and everything because I'm not allowed to say it. I'm not allowed to say who's responsible, that the Crown's responsible for backing it, because they are. That's how it's getting put in the whole UK. So, like I said, in the head of Bernardo's charity, who have been found guilty in Scotland for raping, trafficking, murder and torturing children, is Charles and Camilla. It's no King Charles, it's the head of Bernardo's charity. For the biggest charity that deals with child sexual exploitation and grooming. And the groomers run it. Same as your institutions, your education system, where they've got all your children in school now. They don't need them in a care home. They don't need them in an orphanage. Except they've got them in a school, still an institution run by them, so they can indoctrinate them and sexualise them without your knowledge or consent. And then when they've already legislated and made policies. In Scotland, it's a health and wellbeing curriculum for excellence, right? We've been fighting against it for like 2 years. Laura hates even the sound of it, because Laura's more concerned about the grooming gangs that are pimping out our children daily basis in Glasgow city centre and across flats that nobody cares about. I'm trying to tell her, but this sex education means it's all going to be happening, they're all going to be doing it voluntary, and they're teaching your children to pimp themselves out. Like, seriously, like, come on, we need to fucking stop this. So now she's sick of hearing it, right? So, I've been fighting with everybody. So, Police Scotland can't get involved, because they can't get involved in health, politics or religion. So they're out. Pure out. Police Scotland can't help. Children are having sex in the toilets, Police Scotland, because they're all raping each other because they've been exploited in the schools. Police Scotland, just before the holidays broke up, 2 older children, straight after an RSHP sex education lesson, held down a younger child in the toilet and raped them. In a school in Scotland, in Edinburgh. Because of the sex education lesson that they get taught, that they thought it was alright to do that. Sorry, can't do nothing, because can't get involved. The Scottish Government have good lawyers, and they've brought it under health and wellbeing curriculum for excellence. The curriculum for excellence is the Crown. Means the Crown was the Queen, now it's the King. The King's backing the education. The Scottish Government have got it under a curriculum for excellence, approved by the Royals. And that means this curriculum for excellence is not just this sex education, is not just sex education, relationship, sexual health and parenthood lessons. It's incorporated into every subject across your curriculum. Primary 1 maths, teach sections of the pride flag. Then you learn about the pride flag and the LGBT community, etc. at 4 years old, because it's in maths. So you can take them out to RSP all you want, it's in maths. I don't know what other, it's in PE. I don't know what they're going to teach them about it in PE. How to do hornstones and have sex. Fuck knows, that's why our country's gone. They're giving your children links to Pornhub in secondary school. I've seen it, they tried it, they piloted it, they done it last year, and the mother brought a wee boy to me, and he was 11, and it caused hell in the house, the 4-year-old wee sister, because it was homework. Seen him watching porn, and she's got loads of restrictions, but it was the school that gave him a link that got past her restrictions. The school, 11 years old, because he had questions that they couldn't answer, and their directions was to give the wains like that a link to Pornhub. So they gave him him as homework to go and find on Pornhub the answer to his questions at 11. Tell me that's no child sexual exploitation. Police Scotland won't get involved, won't do shit. The teachers have been groomed, they've known about it since 2014 and taught fuck knows what about how it's to protect them against paedophiles. No, it's because the paedophiles made the education curriculum. That's what, right, they're clever. They've been trying to abolish the age of consent since the 70s, they tried it. Well, now they're not trying, they're just going to do it. Just going to do it. And it'll be the children that lower the age of consent after you tell them not to have sex. After they groom them all, and the children are all confused, not have sex with each other and experiment with their baby brothers and sisters and cousins and whoever. Then the children will say they like having sex, but and that you've taught them how to do it, so they want the age of consent lowered. Or on that subject, under www.rshp.scot, rather than just say I talk shite, go 3 wee lines down to levels, go into stages, go into second or third phase, right? Might be third phase, ARSHP, sex education. In there it tells you the law, right? And under relationship, sexual health and parenthood education, the law is children 13 and above can get advice on sexual health treatment, can get condoms after them, can have abortions, without, and it's confidential for their parents and anybody, right? So technically your daughter could get raped and then go and have an abortion at 13 and they'll hide it for them, right? That's your state. So that's where we're already at. So they've already lowered the age of consent in Scotland to 13 years old. You'll see, remember last year the ones that followed, the obviously exposing the paedophiles and that. The Scottish Government, the SNP government, paid lobbyists £1.1 million, right? These same lobbyists for the LGBT community in Stonewall backed the age of consent, a declaration, right? The age of consent being lowered to 10 years old. Also in that declaration it stated that all laws be abolished in relation to adults with learning disabilities. Well, see your sex education programme, that's getting taught to children with autism. Like there's no, and the more explicit materials are shown to children, much more explicit pornographic materials. Like this is fucking sick. This is sexual exploitation, grooming and trafficking in a sick level by your governments. To do that to children with learning disabilities, if they're not already confused enough of what's going on in this world now, that they've got to deal with that. It's sick as fuck. What was I saying there? We're fucked. The sex education programme is now going to be mandatory by the end of September. What date are we on? A couple of weeks. And these are all going to be hit with a shitstorm with, like, getting to the point of social services or counsellors and teaching, then they'll teach yous about the education now and show you that it's alright and stuff, and yous will believe them and they'll groom yous and shut yous up, and it's not alright, and it's not alright. Like I've highlighted all these safeguarding issues already in Scotland. 2 older children after one, it's just started for 4 weeks, and 2 older children held down and raped a younger child in a toilet directly after a lesson. They've made it legal for your child, age 4, to change their name and gender while at school. So they've taught them how to keep secrets, because the whole school's to know, or the teachers to know, that your wee boy's been a wee lassie and a wee girl in school. Everybody's to know in the school, but you, mum and dad, have to know. That's removing your parental rights. They're teaching your children how to claim sexual rights. Once your children in Scotland claim sexual rights, you no longer have parental rights because they've claimed their sexual rights through the school. So then the government protect them against you and against any other secrets being told to you. It's sick as fuck. It's giving me the fear. So what can you do now? What you can do now is go into your school head teachers and tell them that you're opting your child completely out of it and you're against it, and you want a parents and teachers meeting, because they were meant to inform you by that way anyway. They said they couldn't because of COVID. So ask for parents and teachers meetings where you can all discuss your concerns, and I'll send you all the materials you can show them because you know about them. You just don't. You don't. Your children are audio level low too. They're just banning me on everything and silencing me and messing with my videos. TikTok's banned me and deleted me this morning only because I said Savile procured children for the elites. Like, I said that for 3 years, not an issue. Jimmy Savile procured children for the elites. Like, what? Why did I get a whole account just completely all my research, hours of work, gone, totally gone? It peed me off. I remembered I still had YouTube live, but I don't like it on here because of the trolls. I usually end up fighting with them. So, and I've had enough going on. The reason I'm not doing videos and stuff, guys, is because I said I've been fighting this sex education. I've been at Parliament. I've been making booklets and leaflets and handing them out to everybody. So now that I'm banned for a month on everything, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start going to the schools and give my booklets out and educate people on what's really getting taught in your schools and where it's gone. And The teaching documents, like I said, have links to UNESCO CCAS, because that's where all the research is getting stored as a global sexualisation experiment. And also, just before I go, the sex surveys, not like when I've tried to track where they're all getting stored and how well the information's getting held. So not only that, CCAS, United Nations, America and all that's getting all the information and data on your children through this sex education programme. Also, your children's data and their names and all their personal information and everything about them for the next decade, the next 10 years, is getting stored in National Historical Archives. And the National Historical Archives forever and ever and ever. So there's your proof that your children are part of a global experiment, because the experiment has to be archived in historical archives, right? Which it is. So this sex education is getting stored. The censuses and all the information they're gathering of your children is not only getting given to all these places I've talked to you about, it's also getting stored in the historical national archives forever. So that they can look back, so that in 10 years' time, in a decade, when they've sexualised all the children, they can look back at the answers to your children's questions at all the different stages that they hurt them with questionnaires about how they were, and many sexual partners did they have last, and blah 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 blah. So I'm just going to finish up on that. So that's basically what I came on to tell you guys. I'm going to go because my battery's probably going to go as well. And I'm just sick of this country protecting paedophiles. And we need to do something to protect our children. Or the paedophiles have won. The schools indoctrinate the children, turn them against you, sexualise them, and then you're fighting against your own children. And your own children hate you and love them because they're letting them have sex. So that's what the problem is you've got in your hands. So guys, I'm going to go, right? Take care. Please do some research on the stuff that I've been talking about in here, because we do have a massive child safeguarding issue, not just in Scotland but globally in 52 other countries. I had people when I was outside Parliament, somebody from Spain and somebody from another country, saying it's happening in our country too. Right, they're just keeping us all hidden from each other. They're just keeping all our fights, like all our media accounts, away from each other, right, and just deleting us and shutting us down when we find each other, so we have to start again. Like we've been starting again. I've had so many Facebook accounts deleted for exposing these paedophiles, it's unreal. Well, what about shutting down the paedophiles instead, and then I'll go away, like I said. But until then, I'm not going anywhere, and this country needs exposed, and it needs to keep getting exposed until people see the truth of what's really happening in the fucking country, and then they'll soon see, the way I see, that there's nothing nice about this sex education programme. It's a bunch of global paedophiles about to sexualise all your children and make all the problems go away for people like me that expose them. Well, there will not be a crime anymore, will there? So I can just shut the fuck up. So, guys, have a good day. Love yous lots. Please like and share and subscribe. We've also got Expose Scotland on Facebook. I can never do anything in the group because I'm always banned. I've got a Facebook group called it's not sex education, it's sexualisation. I've got a blog page called Protect Our Children from Sexualisation, and I've also got another group somewhere called Leave Our Kids Alone Scotland. But since creating all the groups in January, I've been on constant 30-day bans. They always ban the page that I created the group, so I've used another profile, I'll create another group and they do the same. So since January I've been trying to put materials on there. I got first unbanned last week, which was August. Since January proper, I uploaded a load of materials that they're showing children with learning disabilities and that they're showing your autistic children, and I highlighted the fact that I've not been on here, but these are even more sinister than the mainstream images and stuff for children. And I got a 30-day ban for the sex education images, but they're showing them to 8-year-old fucking autistic children, but I can't show them to adults. What does that tell you? I was actually done. So these are all the bans I've had for showing pornographic materials. TikTok said I was nudity and adult sexual activity, and this is for 8-year-olds, all the stuff I've showed, that the Scottish Government are showing our 8-year-olds their sex education lessons. And autistic children, 10 years old. So I've had showing sexual nudity and adult explicit content, pornographic images and nudity, sexual graphic content. And then the other day I had Facebook, sexual solicitation. So sexual solicitation. These are images, and I'm just trying to highlight the fact that this is a sex education programme, and the materials I'm showing you are just for the 8-year-olds. I've not even showed you the 13-year-olds materials yet, and the 8-year-olds materials are saying I'm sexually soliciting. What? So I get shut down and everything. I can't show it. TikTok don't tolerate it at all. I show any of the materials on there and it's adult nudity, and I've had that's what all my warnings were for, which led to me getting totally banned this morning because I said Jimmy Savile was a prolific paedophile and he procured children for the elites, and he was best pals with Charles since he was 8 years old. That was all I said. Totally banned, totally my whole account gone. So that's what your social media are not allowed to talk about these paedophiles. Already it's even worse. For the last 2 days, we've had a king, or shutting me down like quicker than they've ever shut me down before. So you're not allowed to talk about him even more, and you're not allowed to talk about his predecessor. So guys, I'm going to go have a nice day, right? And I'll try and do some videos to show you the materials on YouTube about and how to access. I just don't know, I need to try and get on in my computer, right, so that I can access links and that for you, and actually show you some of this stuff. So I'll try, right, I'll try in the next couple of days. So take care and have a good day. Please keep your children safe. Please educate yourselves, and going for the first time ever, even if you've never done it, research what your children are learning in school under the RSHP sex education system, under the new curriculum for excellence, health and wellbeing curriculum for excellence. They only brought health and wellbeing curriculum for excellence to bring a sex education programme in, as I said, that's global in 52 countries. Look at the materials, www.rshp.scot. There's 3 wee lines in the right hand corner, click it, go right down, capital letter that says levels, click in levels and it shows you all the stages. And if you take enough time and go through all the materials, also click in the one for learning disabilities and all the links to the materials they have to use, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's pornographic. The teachers are showing more children porn, and especially autistic children. What's that going to create? Right, they're going to make autistic children, and you're going to blame the children. The children are going to go about touching up younger children and being totally inappropriate because they don't understand, right? Not because they were innocent and they exploited them, and now they don't understand and they think they've been taught they've been taught about that. They want to feel it, they want to touch it, etc. And you're going to call the children monsters. Well, just remember I was on here saying that it's the monsters in power that are trying to create our children to be monsters, and it's sick as fuck, and they're going to steal their innocence forever. And once your child's innocence is gone, you will never get it back. You can't teach your child how to be innocent again. It doesn't work like that. When children's innocence is gone, in this case for 3 years old in Scotland, is gone, they're curious, their innocence is gone, they're curious and experimental. So guys, please keep your children safe, please educate yourselves, and take care, and God bless, and I hope everybody stay safe, and just good luck for the future of this shithole.